Hi, I'm Tim Sparks, and in this course we're going to show how to jazz up your blues guitar playing with some jazzy chords. And we're going to start by reviewing the basic 12-bar blues in E. So to try to dress up that kind of basic 12-bar blues, here's one way to get out of that box. Let's go back to the guitar style of Freddie Green, who played in the Count Basie Orchestra in Kansas City in the 1930s. He had a rhythm guitar style, and his chords largely are made with just 3 fingers, generally on the 6th, 4th, and 3rd string. I'm going to play a kind of a typical Freddie Green style blues jazz chord progression. And notice when I'm playing how I tend to keep my 3rd finger always on the 3rd string as a kind of an anchor. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a couple of things about that. Notice this shape here. It's an interesting shape that has a lot of utility because in this case it's an E chord, but notice that we're putting the 5th degree of the E chord in the bass instead of the root. Later on, the same shape is an A sharp diminished. Here it becomes an A minor 6 chord. So just interesting to note how this same shape works in different applications. So let's do another variation in that Freddie Green style. This is a little more jazzier. 1, 2, 3, 4. What we did there is we added some major 7 sounds. This is actually an E major 7 chord. Although there's no E in it, it's kind of cool because when you do a chord like that, you're making the listener's ear fill in the blanks. So it does something interesting in the chemistry of your audience. Okay, my last Freddie Green example is like a Charlie Parker bebop line. And I discovered this this chord progression actually goes way back to Jelly Roll Morton. In its original version around the turn of the last century, it'd be like... And then after Jelly Roll Morton was in the like 1920s, and then Charlie Parker in the 1940s came up with this progression. Yeah, for this Charlie Parker progression, we're going to add we're going to add some notes off the second string. So it's going to sound like this. See if I can play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one thing I start to do here, notice this in this part of this progression. Here, I got this E. It's going to become a pedal tone. A pedal tone is where you have the same note through a sequence of chords, and it can be at the top of the chords or in the middle or the bottom. In this case, it's going to be at the top. Very cool effect. It's just like some kind of a glue that holds the chords together in a different way, and it's emphasizing the top of the chord and giving a very airy quality. Okay, so now let's go on to some more interesting inversions. I want to talk about turnarounds. A turnaround is like 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. We can do it here. Now let's try this dominant 7th chord with the inversion where the 7th is in the bass to see how that sounds. Now, what we're going to do is use a pedal tone again. That sounds sweet. Now we're going to see how we use some of these shapes. We've done the Freddie Green approach now to some basic ways you can expand the chords under just a simple 12-bar blues that has 3 or 4 basic chords in it with lots of different little chord variations. Now we're going to take that a little further, and we're going to explore how you get a jazz sound that is almost more like a piano by using inversions. So we're not going to have chords that are rooted in the root, 5th, 3rd kind of quality, but they're going to be airier. A jazz piano player will have like a block shape a lot of times, and his left hand will move these shapes. George Shearing was a great pianist who had this style. And I learned a lot from Lenny Breau, who he tried to incorporate this style of Bill Evans, George Shearing into his left hand. So we're going to look at some chord forms that very simple, just get your feet wet with this kind of style. So let's take here this little, just walk through a blues here. Once again, talking about pedal tones, I'm using this E note in a lot of the chords, and it has this beautiful quality of anchoring and tying things together, but not in a very light kind of way. It's a free sound. So let's try it again with some rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. when you work on that, when I had to start to play these kind of chords, it was hard for me because I'm so accustomed when I'm going for a chord to find and anchor myself where I'm familiar from years of guitar playing. I've always playing the root that names the chord, and that's how I find my place. To play this way, you have to kind of remember the root of the chord in your head, but you're not going to play that. You're going to play something else that's a different shape and inversion. And so you have to in a way unlearn a lot of your instincts to learn this new kind of shape and feel comfortable with it. So take your time with the scores and examples. And I think blues is a great way to learn something like this because it's a simple form and yet it's very dynamic, and we all love blues, so it makes a lot of sense. We can connect to it. So now I'm going to play a couple of examples of how to use some of these chord inversions in some different types of blues variations, still in the key of E. The first one's kind of a boogaloo. Let's try that one now really slow. Starts with a pull-off. And this kind of pattern is dop, 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 dop. It's kind of a New Orleans second line kind of a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bop, 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 bop. Bop, 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 bop. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, 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 bop. So, once you've practiced that for a while, if you're not familiar with it, then you can add it to this pattern. One more time, I'll do it really slow. Okay, now using that boogaloo feel, let's play a minor blues and see how we can use some different chord shapes. In this case, we're going to be playing a vamp kind of sound that goes from a E minor 9 to an A13. We're just going to use these 3 notes. I've been playing in a band lately with a new member who hasn't played a lot of jazz, but they've got a good attitude, and their instinct is to play, root-oriented basic chords, everything. And I'm trying to say how the trick to this is less is more. That you can get a lot more sound sometimes with just 3 notes. I remember years and years and years ago, I went to see a great band that was Barney Kessel, Charlie Bird, and I was watching how they comped on a blues, and all they did was like this. One of the guys, he went, say the blues was an A this time, so he just went. That's all he used, because there were other guitar players. He didn't want it to get too complicated, and and jumbly, but in a way that gave me a whole clue to that's where the whole sound is of the chord. You can imply it without having to play a whole bunch of notes. So anyway, let's try this minor blues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I'll go through this one time really slow. For my last example, I'm going to play a little blues that's in the flavor of the great Lenny Breau, who was probably the most amazing guitarist for playing in this style. He kind of invented it in a lot of ways. And here's how it goes. So let's get into this a little bit and see what he's doing here. This is slightly tricky. You make your E chord, but you're going to use your first finger to catch a note on the top on the 4th fret and on the 5th string on the 5th fret. Once again, same effect, but you're down a half step. This is a C major. One of the hallmarks of Lenny's style is playing in a key where he can utilize the open strings and get a harp-like effect. So that's a C major to an F. There's no F in sight, but that's the function. It's a C major to an F to an E. I'll play it one more time now, and I'll play it very slow for you. Once you've worked on this course, this will be the last thing you want to play, but hopefully you'll find that you can adjust to this strange hand position because it's very, very beautiful to play it this way. So I'll say, just to wrap up, it's a pleasure to share this information about a cool way to spice up your blues with some nice jazz sounds and discover some cool ways to look at guitar that might be a little different than what you're used to, or if you want to get out of your box a little bit. And I hope you enjoy all this stuff today. It's a pleasure to be here in Osnabrück and share it with you.